General James Walker stood at the bridge of his flagship, the UES Peacekeeper, watching the Empire's capital world grow larger in the main viewport. The blue-green planet reminded him of Earth, though its 3 moons gave away its alien nature. His gray uniform was pressed perfectly, metals gleaming under the bridge lights. At 60 years old, his hair had turned white, but his blue eyes remained sharp and alert. "Status report," he called out to his bridge crew. "All systems normal, sir," replied First Officer Tom Wilson. "The Empire's defense fleet is keeping their promised distance. We're being guided to the diplomatic dock." Walker nodded, but something felt wrong. In his 30 years of service, he had learned to trust his instincts. The Empire had fought humanity to a standstill for 3 years before agreeing to these peace talks. Their sudden willingness to negotiate seemed too good to be true. "Run another scan of the area," he ordered. "Full spectrum." The crew worked quickly, their fingers dancing over holographic controls. The Peacekeeper was officially a diplomatic vessel, but it carried the best scanning equipment in the human fleet. 5,000 of humanity's finest served aboard her, and Walker felt responsible for every single one of them. "Sir," called out Jane Roberts from the sensor station, her voice tense, "I'm detecting unusual energy readings from the 3 moons. They might be." A bright flash lit up the bridge. Warning sirens screamed to life. "Multiple ships dropping out of hyperspace," shouted Wilson. "They're all around us." Walker's heart sank as he watched hundreds of Empire warships appear, surrounding his vessel in a sphere of death. This was no diplomatic reception. It was an ambush. "Shields up. Battle stations," he commanded, but he knew it was too late. The Empire had positioned their trap perfectly. The first shots struck the Peacekeeper before her shields could fully activate. The diplomatic dock itself revealed hidden weapon ports, adding its firepower to the assault. "Sir, we can't survive this," Wilson said, gripping his console as the ship shuddered. "They're hitting us from every angle." Walker's mind raced. The Empire didn't just want to kill them. They wanted to make a statement. They wanted to break humanity's spirit by destroying their most famous general in an act of treachery. "Listen carefully," Walker said, his voice calm despite the chaos around him. "Emergency Protocol Omega. Transmit everything. Let Earth know what happened here." His crew worked frantically, sending out their sensor data and final messages through quantum communication channels that even the Empire couldn't block. The bridge shook violently as another volley struck home. "Hull breach on decks 3 through 7. Someone shouted. Walker opened a ship-wide channel. "This is General Walker to all hands. I'm sorry I led us into this trap. But remember, we are human. Even in death, we will show them our strength. It has been my highest honor to serve with you." The Empire ships pressed their attack, their energy weapons tearing through the Peacekeeper's hull. Secondary explosions rippled through the mighty vessel. "Message sent, sir," Wilson reported, standing tall despite the flames now spreading across the bridge. "Earth will know." Walker looked around at his crew. None had abandoned their posts. All faced their end with courage. He felt a fierce pride, even as the ship died around them. "The Empire thinks this will break humanity," he said, watching the enemy ships through the cracking viewport. "They're wrong. They don't understand us at all." The bridge erupted in a final explosion. The Peacekeeper broke apart, debris scattering across space. The Empire ships moved back, their task completed. On the capital world below, the High Council celebrated their victory, believing they had struck a decisive blow against humanity. They didn't realize they had just awakened a sleeping giant. They didn't understand that humans were at their most dangerous when wounded. As the wreckage of the Peacekeeper cooled in the void, a quantum message raced toward Earth, carrying with it the seeds of vengeance. The Empire had chosen to burn a human general. Soon, they would face humanity's fury. Admiral Kate Stone stood motionless in Earth's central command chamber, watching the final moments of the Peacekeeper play out on the massive display screen. Her hands gripped the steel railing so hard her knuckles had turned white. The quantum transmission showed everything: the ambush, the betrayal, and Walker's final words to his crew. Around her, 50 military and civilian leaders sat in stunned silence. Some had tears in their eyes. Others shook with rage. The recording ended with static as the Peacekeeper exploded, taking 5,000 souls with her. "Play it again," Stone ordered, her voice hard as steel. She had served under Walker for 15 years. He had been her mentor, her friend, and now she had watched him die. "Admiral," said Council Leader Robert Greene, "we've seen enough. The Empire's message is clear. They think they can break us with this treachery." Stone turned to face the assembled leaders. At 45, she was the youngest admiral in Earth's fleet, but right now she felt ancient. "No," she said. "Their message isn't clear enough. Play it again." The recording started over. This time, Stone studied every detail: the positions of the Empire ships, the weapon signatures, the exact moment of betrayal. "Look," she said, pointing to the screen. "They didn't just want to kill him. They wanted to humiliate us. They recorded this massacre and sent it across the galaxy. They're laughing at us right now." The room temperature seemed to drop as her words sank in. Stone walked to the center of the chamber, where a holographic map of known space glowed softly. "The Empire thinks they know humanity," she continued. "They think they understand how we'll react. They expect us to cower, to sue for peace, to accept whatever terms they offer." She smiled, but there was no warmth in it. "They're wrong." Council Leader Greene stood up. "What are you suggesting, Admiral?" Stone waved her hand through the hologram, zooming in on Empire space. "I'm not suggesting anything. I'm telling you what's going to happen. We're going to war. Not the limited border conflicts we've had before. Real war. Total war. Our exploration fleet isn't ready for that," someone protested. "Then we'll make it ready." Stone's voice carried across the chamber. "Every ship will be refitted with the weapons we've kept in reserve. Every Academy cadet will be commissioned. Every reserve officer will be called up." She looked each leader in the eye. "The Empire wanted to break our spirit. Instead, they've united us like never before." The chamber erupted in discussion, but Stone raised her hand for silence. "I've already drafted Operation Thunderstrike. While the Empire celebrates their victory, we'll strike their shipyards at Nexus Prime. They think they've seen humanity's best weapons. They haven't seen anything yet." "And after that?" Greene asked. "After that, we burn their worlds until they understand what they've done. Until they realize that killing General Walker was the worst mistake they've ever made." Stone's eyes blazed with controlled fury. "Until they learn that humanity doesn't break. We burn, and then we rise from the ashes stronger than before." One by one, the leaders stood. There was no vote needed, no formal declaration. The Empire had chosen this path, and now they would face the consequences. "Send the call," Greene ordered. "All ships, all soldiers, all reserves. Earth goes to war." Stone nodded and turned back to the hologram. She thought of Walker's last moments, how he had faced death with dignity, while the Empire celebrated their treachery. "They burned our general," she whispered. "Now we'll burn their empire to the ground." Across Earth, shipyards roared to life. Weapon factories operated at full capacity. Recruitment centers overflowed. The news of Walker's death spread, and with it came not despair, but rage. Not fear, but determination. The Empire had wanted to break humanity's spirit. They had only succeeded in awakening it. The imperial shipyards of Nexus Prime sparkled like a web of stars. Massive construction docks held half-built warships, while repair bays swarmed with worker drones. The Empire's largest fleet base had never fallen in its 1,000-year history. Its defenders had grown lazy with success. Admiral Stone watched the target through her flagship's view screen. The UES Revenge, twice the size of Walker's lost peacekeeper, waited in the shadow of a dead moon. 400 human warships hid with her, their new black stealth coating making them nearly invisible against space. "All ships report ready," said Captain Mike Rogers, her first officer. "Weapon systems are hot." Stone nodded. The Empire was still celebrating their victory over humanity. Their ships at Nexus Prime had skeleton crews, many officers still at victory parties on nearby pleasure worlds. "Send the signal," Stone ordered. "Remember Walker." The word spread through the fleet. Every sailor, every soldier thought of the Peacekeepers' final moments, of Walker's courage in the face of betrayal. Their rage had cooled into something harder, more dangerous. "Launch the drones," Stone commanded. 1,000 small objects shot from the human ships. The Empire's sensors saw them but ignored them. They looked like common repair drones. This was their first mistake. The drones reached the outer defense platforms. Then they exploded. Not with fire or shrapnel, but with waves of electronic energy that crashed through Imperial systems. Shields flickered and died. Weapons went dead. Communication arrays burned out. "Now," Stone said softly, "show them what humanity can do." The human fleet appeared like ghosts from the darkness. Their first shots struck before the Empire's crews could reach their battle stations. Stone's new plasma cannons, weapons humanity had hidden for years, cut through Imperial armor like paper. "Multiple direct hits," Rogers reported. "Enemy ships are launching, but their systems are still confused by the drone attack." Stone stood from her command chair, watching the battle unfold. The Empire's ships tried to form a defense line, but they were too slow, too disorganized. Human vessels slipped through their formation like wolves among sheep. "Target their fuel stores," Stone ordered. "Let's give them a proper show." The Revenge's main gun fired. A beam of pure energy, hot as a sun's core, struck the massive fuel tanks that powered the shipyard. The explosion lit up space brighter than any nearby star. Secondary explosions chained through the shipyard. Construction docks collapsed. Half-built ships broke apart. The Empire's proud fleet base began to die. "Enemy ships are retreating," Rogers announced. "They're running." Stone shook her head. "Not today." "Activate the gravity nets." Hidden human satellites powered up, creating webs of artificial gravity that caught the fleeing Imperial ships. They struggled like flies in a spider's web. "This is Admiral Stone to all enemy vessels." She broadcast on all frequencies. "You celebrated when you killed General Walker. You laughed at his death. Now you understand what that cost you." The human fleet moved in for the kill. Stone watched without mercy as the Empire ships were torn apart. The shipyard burned behind them, decades of Imperial work destroyed in an hour. "Send the footage," Stone commanded. "Full broadcast, all Imperial channels. I want every world in their empire to see this." The battle ended as quickly as it began. Where the greatest Imperial shipyard had stood, now drifted only wreckage. Not a single human ship had been lost. Stone looked at the destruction and felt no joy, only grim satisfaction. "Set course for our next target," she ordered. "The Empire wanted war. We'll give them one they'll never forget." As her fleet vanished back into the darkness, Stone thought of Walker. The Empire had killed him while he sought peace. Now they would learn why humanity had always held back, why they had never fought with their full strength before. The first strike was complete. It would not be the last. Deep beneath the surface of an Empire mining world, in a hidden rebel base, General James Walker opened his eyes. His body ached from the burns and injuries he had suffered during the Peacekeepers' destruction. The medical pod had kept him alive, but recovery had been slow. "Welcome back to the living, sir," said Commander Marcus Reed, standing nearby. The undercover human operative had been working within the Empire for 10 years. His rescue team had found Walker's escape pod, barely functional, drifting in the debris field. "How long?" Walker asked, his voice rough from disuse. 3 weeks, Reed replied. "You've missed quite a lot. Admiral Stone has been busy." Walker smiled slightly. I heard the explosions, even down here. The Empire's emergency broadcasts are getting harder to ignore. Reed helped Walker sit up. The medical bay was carved from rock, filled with stolen Empire equipment. Around them, dozens of resistance fighters worked at communication stations. Some were human spies. Others were Empire citizens who had turned against their corrupt leaders. The High Council is in chaos, Reed reported. They thought destroying the Peacekeeper would break humanity. Instead, they've lost 3 major fleet bases and their biggest shipyard. Stone is hunting them like a wolf hunts sheep. Walker stood carefully, testing his healed legs. Good, but that's not enough. The Empire is too big to defeat from the outside alone. He walked to a large display showing Empire territory. We need to break them from within. That's why we saved you, sir. Reed gestured to the resistance fighters. These people have seen the truth, the High Council's corruption, their lies. Every day more join us, especially after Stone's attacks showed how weak their leaders really are. A young Empire officer rushed in. Commander Reed, General, the news feeds. You need to see this. They followed her to the communication center. The screen showed burning Empire ships above a colony world. Human vessels moved with deadly precision, their new weapons cutting through Imperial defenses like they weren't there. Another victory for Stone, Walker said quietly. But notice, she's not targeting civilian areas, only military installations and government centers. She's fighting the Empire's leaders, not its people. Reed nodded. It's making a difference. More Imperial citizens are questioning the High Council every day, especially after we leaked proof of their other crimes. Walker watched the battle footage carefully. His death had changed everything. The Empire's betrayal had unleashed humanity's full military might, hidden for so long. But the real war would be won with truth, not just weapons. Show me our agent network, he ordered. A new map appeared, showing hundreds of points of light across Empire space. Each one represented a resistance cell, growing stronger every day. Walker had spent years building these connections, preparing for the possibility of war. The High Council thinks they killed humanity's greatest general, Reed said with a grim smile. Instead, they gave us our greatest weapon, a martyr to rally around, while you work in the shadows. Speaking of shadows, Walker turned to his rescuer. What's the status of Operation Ghostlight? Ready when you are, sir. We've identified the weak points in their communication network. When you give the word, we can show the Empire's citizens exactly what their leaders did to the Peacekeeper, the unedited footage, the truth. Walker nodded. His death had served its purpose. Now it was time to truly hurt the Empire, not with weapons, but with the revelation of their own treachery. Send the signal, he ordered. Let's show everyone what really happened that day. And then, he smiled, thinking of Stone's fleet burning across Empire space. Then we'll give them a chance to choose sides. The resistance fighters moved quickly, their fingers flying over consoles. Above them, through kilometers of rock, the Empire's mining operations continued as normal. They didn't know that their greatest defeat wasn't coming from humanity's warships, but from the truth about to spread through their own networks. Walker was alive, and his revenge would be served cold. Governor Thomas Gray stood before the High Council, his voice echoing through the Grand Chamber. Behind him, the transmission screen showed riots breaking out on 100 Empire worlds. Walker's leaked footage of the Peacekeeper's destruction played on endless loops across every planet. You betrayed everything the Empire stands for, Gray shouted at the 12 council members. You murdered peaceful diplomats. You celebrated their deaths. And now you've brought humanity's fury down on all of us. High Chancellor William Black rose from his throne-like chair. Watch your tone, Governor. Remember who rules here. Rules. Gray laughed bitterly. Look outside, Chancellor. Your rule is ending. The windows showed the capital world's sky filled with fire. 3 Imperial fleets were fighting each other. The footage of Walker's murder had broken the Empire's military discipline. Many officers, disgusted by their leader's treachery, had turned their weapons on government targets. "This is nothing," Black insisted. "A minor rebellion. It will be crushed." A young officer burst into the chamber. "Chancellor, Governor Gray's forces have taken control of the Western Defense Fleet. Admiral Stone's human ships have been detected entering the Outer Rim. They're moving fast." Gray smiled coldly. "Not so minor now, is it?" On the screens, more news poured in. 30 Empire worlds had declared independence. Military bases were choosing sides. The Empire's carefully built power structure was crumbling like sand. "You're all under arrest," Gray announced. Security troops loyal to him entered the chamber, weapons ready. "For crimes against humanity, for betraying the peace, and for lying to your own people." Black's face twisted with rage. "You dare? I am the High Chancellor. I cannot be arrested." "Watch me," Gray said quietly. He turned to the cameras broadcasting across Empire space. "This is Governor Gray to all citizens of the Empire. The High Council's reign of corruption ends today. We will seek peace with humanity. We will build a better future, one without lies and betrayal." The security troops moved forward. Most of the council surrendered quietly, knowing their power was gone. Black tried to run but was quickly caught. In orbit above, human ships emerged from hyperspace, but they didn't open fire. Instead, they transmitted a single message. "This is Admiral Stone. We accept Governor Gray's call for peace. The war is between humanity and the High Council, not with those who choose justice." Gray watched the council members being led away. His communicator beeped, a private message. The face that appeared made him smile. "Well done, Governor," said General Walker, very much alive. "Phase 1 is complete. The people deserve to know the truth," Gray replied. Once they saw what really happened to the Peacekeeper, once they understood the Council's corruption, the Empire's fate was sealed. "And now?" Walker asked. "Now we rebuild. Together." Gray looked out at the burning sky. The old Empire is dead. Something better will take its place. Across Empire space, the fighting began to die down. The truth had done what weapons could not, broken the High Council's power from within. Ships loyal to Gray and the Resistance moved to protect civilian areas. The revolution was nearly bloodless, most Imperial forces choosing to surrender rather than die for corrupt leaders. Admiral Stone's fleet hung in orbit, a silent reminder of humanity's power. But they didn't fire a single shot. They didn't need to. The Empire had torn itself apart once its people learned the truth. In his hidden base, Walker smiled. The High Council had tried to break humanity's spirit. Instead, they had broken their own empire. Now would come the hard part, building something new from the ashes of the old. The Empire had split. But from its pieces, a better future would rise. The capital system of the Empire burned. 3 massive fleets converged on the center of Imperial power. Admiral Stone's human armada, Governor Gray's rebel ships, and the remaining loyal Imperial forces. The battle that would decide the future had begun. All ships, attack pattern Delta. Stone commanded from the bridge of the Revenge. Her fleet moved like dancers in space, their formation perfect. Target those defense platforms first. The Empire's automated defense network was their last real advantage. Thousands of weapon platforms surrounded their core worlds, making them nearly impossible to attack. Nearly. "Now, General," Stone said into her communicator, "it's your move." Deep within the capital planet's main defense control center, Walker smiled. "Understood, Admiral." "Commander Reed, light them up." Reed's fingers flew across the control panel. For months, their resistance agents had infiltrated the defense network, planting hidden programs. Now those programs activated. One by one, the Empire's mighty defense platforms went dark. "What's happening?" screamed High Chancellor Black from his bunker beneath the surface. "Get those platforms back online." His technicians tried desperately, but it was too late. The Resistance had control. The platforms that still worked were now targeting their own Imperial ships. In space, Stone's fleet struck hard. The Revenge's main guns tore through the suddenly defenseless Imperial ships. Governor Gray's forces attacked from the other side, catching the Loyalists in a deadly crossfire. "Enemy fleet is breaking formation," reported Captain Rogers on the Revenge. "They're running." Stone shook her head. "Not this time." Close the net. Hidden human ships emerged from behind the system's outer planets. They had been waiting there for days, cloaked and silent. Now they sprang the trap, cutting off all escape routes. Walker watched from the control center as the battle unfolded above. "The High Council's bunker is sealed," he told Stone. "But not for long. Reed's teams are almost through their defenses." "Good," Stone replied. "Make sure Black sees everything. I want him to watch his empire fall." The battle in space became a slaughter. Without their defense platforms, facing enemies from all sides, the loyal Imperial ships began to surrender. The few that still fought were quickly destroyed by the combined human and rebel fleet. In his bunker, Black watched in horror as his forces were crushed. "This is impossible," he whispered. "We are the Empire. We cannot fall." The bunker door exploded inward. Commander Reed led the assault team, their weapons ready. Behind them came Walker, alive and walking proudly. Black's eyes widened in shock. You're dead. We killed you." "You tried," Walker said calmly. "You failed, just like you failed your people, just like you failed to understand humanity." Outside, the sounds of fighting died away. The capital planet's defense forces were surrendering everywhere. The people had turned against their corrupt leaders. Stone's voice came over all channels. "Attention all Imperial forces. Your defense network is down. Your fleets are defeated. Surrender now, and you will be treated fairly under interstellar law." One by one, the remaining Imperial ships powered down their weapons. The mighty empire that had ruled for 1,000 years had fallen in a single day. Walker approached Black, who had collapsed in his chair. "You thought killing me would break humanity's spirit," he said quietly. "Instead, you united us. You showed us what we could really do when we stopped holding back." Reed's troops took Black into custody. The other council members were already captured. Their reign of corruption was over. Above the capital, human and rebel ships moved into holding positions. The battle was won. Now would come the hard part, building a lasting peace. Stone looked down at the planet below. "Checkmate," she whispered. The Empire had fallen, and humanity had risen. 1 year after the Empire's fall, the great meeting hall of New Unity Station hummed with activity. The massive space station, built in orbit around a neutral world, served as the headquarters for the newly formed Federation of Independent Systems. General Walker stood at the main window, watching ships from 100 worlds come and go. Human vessels flew alongside former Empire ships, their crews working together. It was a sight that would have seemed impossible just a year ago. "Quite a view, isn't it?" Admiral Stone joined him at the window. She wore a new uniform, the Federation's symbol of unity displayed proudly on her shoulder. "Better than the inside of a medical pod," Walker smiled. "The trial starts tomorrow." Below them, in secure cells, High Chancellor Black and his council awaited justice. Their trial would be broadcast across all Federation worlds. Former Empire citizens would sit on the jury alongside humans, ensuring fairness for all. Governor Gray, now Federation Council leader, approached them. "The last holdout worlds have signed the peace treaty," he reported. "The Federation is now complete." Walker nodded. The transition hadn't been easy. After centuries of Empire rule, many worlds struggled with their new freedom. But they were learning, growing stronger together. "Remember when they thought killing me would break humanity's spirit?" Walker asked, turning to his friends. Stone laughed softly. "Instead, it broke their empire and built something better." They walked together to the main conference room. Representatives from all member worlds sat around a massive circular table. Humans talked freely with former Empire citizens, sharing ideas and plans for the future. Commander Reed, now Chief of Federation Security, gave his daily report. The last Imperial Loyalist cells have been found and disbanded. Trade routes are secure. The rebuilding of damaged worlds continues ahead of schedule. Walker listened with pride. The Federation wasn't perfect, but it was honest, transparent. All decisions were made in the open, not in secret councils. Every world had a voice. "There's one more thing," Stone said. "The Peacekeeper Memorial is ready." They moved to another window. Below them, a massive monument floated in space. It was built from parts of Walker's destroyed ship, reformed into a beautiful spiral of silver and light. The names of all 5,000 crew members who died in the Empire's betrayal were etched in glowing letters. "They didn't die for nothing," Walker said quietly. "Their sacrifice showed us the way forward, showed us what we could become when we stopped hiding our strength, and showed the Empire's people what their leaders really were." Gray added, "Without that, we couldn't have built all this." The station's lights dimmed slightly as a ship emerged from hyperspace nearby. It was massive. The first vessel built jointly by human and former Empire engineers. On its hull, the Federation's symbol shone brightly, a rising sun representing the dawn of a new age. "The future looks bright," Stone said, watching the ship dock. "Humanity isn't alone anymore. We have real allies now, not just fearful subjects like the Empire had." Walker touched the window gently. "That's what the Empire never understood. Real strength isn't about making others fear you. It's about standing together, about rising from the ashes stronger than before." As they watched, more ships arrived for tomorrow's trial. Each one carried people who had chosen to build something new from the Empire's ruins, who had learned that humanity's greatest strength wasn't in its weapons, but in its spirit. The Empire had tried to break that spirit. Instead, they had helped it soar. ###Galactic Tailies. The end ####.